as you're looking at it, customer experience does matter, right? Especially for retention. So making sure you're fulfilling quickly, making sure you're delivering, using delivery companies that are visible, cost effective, and ideally, as a brand, or if you're doing that through a third party relationship, you should be using multiple levels of shipping options. So, and using that in some type of a rate shop, where I'm looking at, speed to customer, all the components of that order, like the dimensions, the weight, where it's going to, when it needs to deliver by, and then having some type of engine that will look at the best option each and every time instead of just going with one shipping option over and over again. And it's a balancing act of speed, cost, free shipping,
Hello, and welcome to a brand new episode of Engatica interview series. I'm your host, Brendan, and I'm glad you have joined us today. And today we have Jonathan, an e-commerce automation, fulfillment, and transportation expert. Welcome, Jonathan.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate you inviting me to join. Looking forward to today's discussion.
Thank you very much, Jonathan, for joining in. So, Jonathan, before we deep dive completely into the entire gist about this webinar, let's give the audience a brief about what Engati is all about. So, Engatica interview series is a powerhouse of insights from industrial experts, influencers from all around the globe. A platform that provides the latest news on AI, automation, and technology that helps you grow your business. Come and be a part of the community. Learn, share, and grow with us. Great, guys. So over here, Jonathan, I've seen to it that there are a few questions that are asked by most of the users who are using Shopify as a platform. So I'll just name a few. If you could just help me with more insights on how exactly you can say we can take it up. So there's a first question that comes: how to measure the success of paid traffic campaign on an e-commerce store?
Wow. I think if we all knew that answer, we'd be doing something differently, right? It's gotten even harder over the last, I don't know, it feels like 18 months or so as things have changed in iOS land and Google land and all the places that everybody got very successful, and even Facebook, and it feels like everybody rewrote the script. And so I think that really is the million and billion dollar question as we're sitting here in 2023 is how do you know what is working? And it's critical to know and measure that, because the cost of customer acquisition has gone up exponentially, right? As I talk to all the brands that we work with, everybody's paying more for less in terms of customer conversion, and really struggling to find it. And it's really hard. I don't know that I have the answer to that question, candidly. But obviously there's things that you can look at, right? You have ways that you can track it, and see where you're, where traffic is hitting your site from, as an example, and is it tied to the things that you're promoting or the landing pages. And then obviously you're looking at sales and sales revenue as that. And then if you're promoting specific products, you're looking at velocity of specific SKUs on your website, or products that you focused on selling. If you've focused specifically on a category of items and stuff like that, and you would measure that, pre campaign and post campaign is probably as simple as it gets. And and me not being on the marketing side, I'm not using any of the right terms here and stuff like that, but that's really is the simplicity side of it. And then obviously there's tools and resources and analytics and a whole bunch of resources that are in the ecosystem, especially within Shopify, that can really help brands understand what people are doing on their website, and even companies that are like following how long you're sitting on a page, where your finger goes if you're on a phone, where your mouse goes if you're on a computer, and really trying to understand where people are interacting with your website and not. And it's amazing what they've been able to do now with AI, with with machine learning, with these technology stacks to really, all the way, watch us all the way down to where we put our finger on our phone, or where we leave our mouse, or where we interact with the website. So sorry, I completely non-answer on that question, but hopefully I gave your users some insight.
Definitely, definitely. And if you see that you had mentioned about e-commerce using ad campaigns, right? So there is this trend over there that comes out like, can you can say discuss the importance of retargeting and how we can utilize it in e-commerce campaigns out over there?
Yeah, retargeting has definitely been a long-term strategy, and it has mixed schools of thought on it, right? There's folks that are gaming the system and take something to the shopping cart and hope they get a promotion a day or two later. So there are negatives if you're retargeting, say, using a discount or a coupon code, or some other way, where you're kind of competing against yourself, so to speak, and lowering customer. Maybe the customer got on the phone and got distracted as they were placing an order, and their intent was to return, but your system automatically assumed that they weren't coming back, and so you chased them down. So it really feels like, though, that retargeting, with all of these changes, with the privacy and opt-ins and opt-outs and cookies being eliminated, like I candidly don't know how you solve for that, because I think that was some of how you would use cookies in the past, would be to then, okay, they're on this website, I'm going to pop up a pop-up ad in front of them, and I'm going to keep chasing them down. So I don't know that people have a good solve for that right now, because I think a lot of the tools that drove retargeting have been eliminated with a lot of the changes that I was referring to in the front end of the conversation.
Oh, thank you very much for answering that question, because there have been some, if you put a little bit more insights on this, because there have been a few brands out over there in the market wherein you can say a customer just adds a specific product to the cart. What on an average, you can say some businesses retarget on a daily basis, some of them retarget on a weekly basis. So what is some strategy you would, or a guidance you would give to such brands so that they understand on how to use Shopify more effectively?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would answer this through the lens of a consumer myself, and we all get tons and tons of emails. So I hate to be bombarded and overwhelmed. So it's finding that right balance of when is the right time to do it. I think some ways maybe to do it proactively, especially with your active customer base, is like what they refer to as post-consumer experience tools. So, folks like, say, Aftership, or Loop, or some of the returns platforms kind of play in this space, or Narvar as an example at an enterprise level. I feel like they're doing it really well with active customers, in the sense that, okay, I buy an order, I'm now getting updates for tracking, which I want as a consumer, and they just subtly drop in a little message about maybe a product that other people that bought what I bought also have bought, or based on my repeat purchases, they may throw in, like, a nice product that goes along with something that I bought, as an example, and they can message there, and I feel like then they have a very captive customer, because one, they want from them, two, they want to see tracking updates and information on their order, and so if I just gently provide some type of marketing in there, I think it's a much more effective, and it also doesn't cost me as much, because it's just part of that SaaS platform, and it solves, really, with that type of tool, it solves remarketing, it solves customer experience, and it even handles the return side of it if done properly. So I think something like that is probably a better use of at least engaging with existing customers and be able to message effectively.
Great. Thank you very much for sharing such insightful information. So, definitely we are going to, you can say, stick along to that. But then there is going to be a point wherein people say that, how do you stay up to date with the latest trends and changes in the paid traffic for e-commerce store? Basically focusing on the ad campaigns and all, how to stay updated with those aspects, how to understand where is the traffic coming from and how to retarget them.
Yeah, I mean, so it's going back. It's using some of the analytics tools that do exist, either directly within Shopify or their apps within the ecosystem. I think you've got to have some. You got to have some. It's not even just one. You have to have multiple because I think they're managing different things, right? Some are managing, how they got to your site. Some are managing what they do when they're on your site. So there's probably 3, 4 different layers of analytics tools that exist. And then outside of that, like this space is changing like by the minute, right? So it's subscribing to to podcasts like this. It's subscribing to newsletters that are from within the industry that are specific, like in this case, like that are marketing related, CMO related, agency related, and be subscribing to those, whether that's in LinkedIn is where I get a lot of my information. That's not the only course, but it's subscribing to those companies, watching their feeds, staying engaged. The other side is, I know everybody hates this answer, but actually paying attention to some of the inbound sales things that come to you from business to business. So people that are selling solutions like this, it's worth it to have a call with a salesperson, if not more, just to get some more free insight and some information. And you never know, you might find a tool that you weren't aware of that actually could be meaningful to this. So I say that as a salesperson and leading up a sales side of my business, but there is value in talking to salespeople. I know it's challenging. We get tons and tons and tons of spam emails and cold outreaches, but hidden within the stacks of that, there probably are some good tools and resources that we're overlooking because we're all busy. But I would encourage that pay attention, at least click on their websites, maybe engage with some of them as well.
Oh, so there's one more question following up with that. Can you discuss, you can say, your experience utilizing paid social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram for e-commerce campaigns?
Not me directly, right? So, I'm in B2B side of it. I'm supporting e-commerce brands. We're on the logistics end of it. So I'm usually after the orders dropped, and then we're doing the pick and the pack and the ship and all the face, if you will, of the order. So I have not, I know lots of brands. It seems right now that like TikTok is the magic sauce that everybody's kind of trying to head toward and figure that out because of all the changes that have happened in all the other platforms and how the cost of advertising has gone up and the return of it has gone down. And so right now it seems like the people that are winning are doing it with video, and a lot of them are doing it on TikTok. But it's still so new, and there's also a lot of goods and bads around TikTok. Outside, if you look at it from a political perspective and what's going on in origin country and all these different things. So there is mixed things on that. I'm not saying go out and do it if you're against it, but I am seeing a ton of, just in my my newsletters and stuff that I read, countless success stories being tied to viral video campaigns, and especially tied to TikTok. But in general, it does feel like video is the secret, well, regardless of the platform you're on, just because I think we're visual people. I think our attention spans are way down. We're so bombarded with information that we want to see a 10, 15-second video and move on with our lives. So that seems to be where people are having a lot of success.
That's nice. That's nice. So over here, how do you measure your return on investment of paid traffic campaigns for your e-commerce store?
Yeah, it's a lot of things we talk about on the front end, right? It's measuring sales, it's measuring SKUs and units that are pushing there, and then balancing, what is your actual, cost of that campaign versus what are the sales of that campaign, and making sure you can do that profitably. As I mentioned, we're seeing customer acquisition costs up ridiculously high. I feel like lifetime value of customers is reducing as well, which negatively impacts customer acquisition costs. And so it's a matter of truly understanding like what it really is costing you to acquire those customers, and then are you breaking even or turning profitable? Because if you're not, it's not a good thing if you're losing money every time you buy or sign on a customer. If you're losing money to do it, that's not a good way to grow your business, especially the way the market's reacted in the last, 6 to 12 months in terms of inflation and investment dollars and borrowing of money. Like, you've got to be really profitable in 23 and beyond, and you got to make sure that you can, as you're acquiring customers, you're doing it profitably. So you do want to measure that quickly and often. And the other side of that is doing A/B testing. So doing two things simultaneously to see what works better. And I think with everything and anything, whether that's how you place something on your website, to a campaign you run, to text you're using, to videos you're using. You should have, different looks of it and be able to measure against it to then see, okay, what was the most successful? Let's do more of the thing that was successful and less of the thing that was not successful.
Great. Okay. That's a lot of insightful information you summarized out over here. So now I just wanted to give, you can say, a little bit more information. What you can say, are there any sound bites you would like to share to our audience out over here watching this series?
Sound bites in general, to me, if that's the case, up to me, I'm going to turn it over to logistics side, right? Where it's really my area of expertise. And so, as you're looking at it, customer experience does matter, right? Especially for retention. So making sure you're fulfilling quickly, making sure you're delivering, using delivery companies that are visible, cost effective, and ideally, as a brand, or if you're doing that through a third party relationship, you should be using multiple levels of shipping options. So, and using that in some type of rate shop, where I'm looking at, speed to customer, all the components of that order, like the dimensions, the weight, where it's going to, when it needs to deliver by, and then having some type of engine that will look at the best option each and every time instead of just going with one shipping option over and over again. And it's a balancing act of speed, cost, free shipping. It feels like this is the year maybe free shipping's under attack. We're already seeing free returns under attack. There's still, I think customers are very much trained to free shipping, even though hopefully we're all smart enough to realize there's no such thing as free shipping. That somewhere along the way somebody has to pay for all these things, and they just have rolled that into your unit economics of what you're buying. But for whatever reason, we love it when we get to the shopping cart and there's no cost there, right? So it's figuring out ways that you can control your cost appropriately, provide a good level of experience to your customer, and then it's figuring out like what are maybe different options, so like a good, better, best. You don't want to have 50 shipping methods when you get to the shopping cart, just like you probably don't want 50 payment methods when you get to the shopping cart. You want to have maybe 2-3 options, good, better, best, maybe a free and moderate speed to a medium speed to a fast speed. And it's all over the place when we talk to brands. Some people are all trying to chase the 2-day, 1-day, kind of what we've seen in the big marketplaces of Amazon and Walmart and stuff like that. And mixed reviews, whether or not you have to follow that. You have to have it as an option for sure, to be able to do it. So, but whether or not every shipment has to be out there fast, there's definitely a lot of stuff that people talk about: predictability, reliability. So, being able to, if you can tell your customer in the shopping cart truly when they should get it, not 7 to 14 days or 3 to 5 days or whatever, but say, hey, if you're buying this by 5 p.m. today, we will deliver this by, Friday, as an example, or Monday or whatever. And that lets people make good options. Like, okay, I'm fine with the free shipping option if I'm going to get it in 3 days. Or if they tell me it's going to be 9 days, then I'm probably going to upgrade to 3 because I need it for the weekend or whatever the case may be. And then if I do present that, I've got to live up to that, right? Like, people want it on time. There's even, I hear people even complain when they get it early, which, I used to never think that was a thing. But, if it's for a surprise or if it's for a birthday, they don't want it to be delivered on the wrong day. We see that a lot around, like, holidays here in the US, like Valentine's Day and Mother's Day, Father's Day. They want it to show up on that day, not before, and especially not after. And so reliability, predictability, reliability, and staying on time to that, I think, is a really important logistics strategy from a direct to consumer experience. And like I said, it doesn't always mean that has to be next day or 2-day or whatever. I think that's going to be dependent on, a couple things like your customer, your unit values, your order values, right? Like, if I'm selling $10 items, I can't spend $20 in logistics to get it there, right? So, but if I'm selling $200 pairs of jeans, as an example, I probably need to get that there in a pretty timely manner, and I've got enough margin, hopefully, on a $200 product in that example to pay for a faster level of service. So there's a whole bunch of things that I think go into that equation, in terms of like what's the appropriate level of service and speed and visibility that I need. And I think the customer base, the product type, the order values, unit values are all part of that equation to pick the right solution. And then tie it back into what we talked about earlier is consumer experience, have that consumer experience tool. So if I'm using multiple shipping options, I get one unified tracking experience. I can remarket to the customer. I can re-communicate to the customer and be able to, get them what they need when they want it. And it'll be an engaged in building that relationship with the customer. We don't, especially for people that are selling in the Shopify platform, probably don't have stores. And so they need to interact with their customer and build relationships in a different way than somebody that has brick and mortar. And so those little things like telling the customer when they're going to get it up front, telling them what's going to cost up front, not wait to get in the shopping cart, and then subtly and properly communicate along the journey of the package, whether that's through email or text messaging. All of those things I think go a long way and should then drive lifetime value of customer, which in return, in the end of it, lowers your customer acquisition cost if I'm getting a customer to buy multiple times over and over again. So anything, I just threw a ton of stuff at you and your listeners. I don't know if there's anything you want to double click on there or ask any questions on or anything like that.
So I believe you have given just an overview of that. The idea of me asking this question is because we're going to have a second round of discussion on the same with all my target audience on a live streaming session. So I believe that will be the right point when we can pick a few questions that most of the Shopify customers or owners are facing, and then discuss on the aspects on how we can benefit or how they can benefit from the same.
Oh, perfect.
Great. So thank you very much for sharing your insightful knowledge about Shopify and how we can enhance this. And thank you, audience, for sticking around with us. For more content, subscribe to Engati. Tap on the bell icon to get access to the exclusive content from leaders all around the globe. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you on the next expert session soon.